Okay. All right, everybody, we're going to get started here. Thank you all for joining us for our 2023 MARTYS nomination information session. This is going to help you all get a little bit of information about how the nomination process works, a little bit about Mississauga Arts Awards as well, and just getting into the guidelines, and that will be majority of the session, and then there will be a Q&A portion at the end where you guys can ask any questions, and we will try our best to answer them for you. If you guys have any questions throughout the information session, please do put them in the chat here, because my lovely colleague Susan Durnin is going to be typing away and trying to answer any questions. If she doesn't have the answer, she's going to throw them over to me, right beside her, and we'll go through the questions together. I will preface this by saying, please do not be afraid to ask questions. This is the time. And you might have a question that somebody else does, right? So always perfect to ask. So I will first off introduce myself. My name is Sherri Murray, and I am Mac's Communications Manager, and I facilitate media relations as well as the MARTY Award nomination process, music programs, newsletters, social media, all that kind of communication stuff. You want to introduce yourself, Susan?
Sure. The voice off to the side. Hello, I'm Susan. I'm Mac's administration lead, and I'm here to help Sherri with the chat today and facilitate questions. And I help run the office. I run Mac memberships. And if you need to reach out, you can contact me, and I can always forward it along to the rest of the team. So
great. That's me. Thanks so much. All right. So let's get into it, because there's a lot to cover here today. Okay, so what are we going to be covering? So we have, what is the Mississauga Arts Awards? First off, some first steps, important dates and deadlines, which we hope you do keep these into your calendars because they're very important. MARTY nomination eligibility, and then we kind of get into the specific award categories. So we have the Artistic Excellence Awards, what type of disciplines are underneath that, and then the selection process for those types of awards. Then we get into the Community Arts Awards, which is the Community Arts Group / Collective of the Year, which is new this year. So I'll explain a little bit more later into our presentation. The Festival of the Year, which replaces the Virtual Festival of the Year. Again, I will explain more as I get into it. The Lifetime Achievement Award, and as well as the Hazel McCallion Volunteer of the Year Award. And as well, we'll get into a little bit of the nomination application requirements, frequently asked questions, potentially reviewing a nomination web form if we have time, then as well as a Q&A session where you guys can ask any questions you have, and that will wrap it all up. So let's get right into it. So what is the Mississauga Arts Awards, if you don't know? So this is our annual celebration that's run by MAC, and it recognizes outstanding individual and organizational contributions to the arts and cultural activity in Mississauga over the past, we say, about 2 years. Each year, we acknowledge honorees whose work helps transform and advance artistic communities through artistic excellence and community arts awards. And if you go to our website, it's all on there, and the link is right here. And I also want to preface this by, we will send all of these slides to you after the webinar has been completed. So do not worry to rush everything down. So everything we discussed today is in the guidelines. So please, if you haven't already, review the guidelines and criteria, please, before submitting your nomination. It is also located onto our website, and the link is right there. So once you review those, and then you're ready to go, you think you have all the material ready, you don't have any further questions, then based on whatever category you would like to submit your award nomination to, you will then apply through these forms here. So Artistic Excellence Award, Community Arts Group / Collective of the Year / or Festival of the Year is under this form. And then if you're looking to submit for Community Arts Award, which is Lifetime Achievement, or Hazel McCallion Volunteer of the Year, you can submit through that form. Okay, and then important dates and deadlines. Nominations now open, so that open on January 12th. Info session is today, okay, right here, right now. And nominations close March 13th at 9 a.m. We will not accept late applications. I'll repeat that again. We will not accept late applications, and they must be put through the web forms. We will not accept materials that are sent individually to our emails. They must be submitted through the web form. Then, once they're gone through all the process of jury and facilitating all of that, finalists are announced in April of 2023. The date is to be determined, of course. And then the MARTYS Award Show this year is Thursday, May 11th. And I will say that we do require, once you are selected, if you were to be selected as a finalist, we require you to attend the awards. If you are not able to attend, then somebody must attend in your place. Of course, because, what if you get the award, right? And then somebody needs to accept that award, right? But you can always contact me or Susan to facilitate that, but that's later down on the line. Okay, so who can apply? So the 2020 Marty Awards are open to all professional artists and arts groups who are residents of the City of Mississauga, have made a significant connection to Mississauga, or have made a contribution to the arts within Mississauga. So let me clarify that a bit. Of course, that's clear. If you're a resident here, you may submit. A significant connection to Mississauga, let's say those are very specific, I would say the Community Arts Awards. So let's say you volunteered here for 10 to 15 years, you have obviously made a connection to Mississauga. Another example is if you work here, let's say your studio is here, or you work out of this area quite a bit, that I would say that's another connection to Mississauga. But basically just make that very clear in your nomination materials. That way there's no question marks for the jury to review. And on that note, each award has its own set of requirements and eligibility criteria. So of course you need to have a connection to Mississauga. That's number one. That's number one for all of them. But then there's different eligibility criteria for each award. So that gets into the guidelines of where you're looking to apply for. And then on the third note, you do not need to be a member of MAC to submit a nomination. However, if you are selected as a finalist, you will be required to join MAC as a member. So when we contact you, if you're selected as a finalist, then we'll, put it over to Susan here and she will help facilitate memberships, and they cost $30 a year. They're, relatively inexpensive, and we'll set that up for you. Okay, so a little bit more about eligibility. So if you received any type of MARTY award or certificate of excellence in any of the following 3 MARTY awards, which would be 2022, 2021, and 2019, because there was no award ceremony in 2020, you are not eligible to be nominated for a 2023 MARTY award. That is any award that you received, you're not eligible. If you were selected as a finalist, but did not receive a MARTY award or certificate of excellence in 2022, 2021, or 2019, please do submit. Please do submit. We love to see it. We love to see finalists resubmit for the category or a different category if it's applicable. And we do highly recommend you submitting again. That's really great to do and see. Okay, so this gets into a little bit more about what type of category and what kind of awards are there. So a big portion of this award ceremony is our Artistic Excellence Awards. So these recognize the excellence that can be achieved at any stage in an artist's career. So there is for both establishing and emerging, which I'll get into the kind of definitions of each one. So for established, that is 5 years or more of experience. So it recognizes, as it says right there, the outstanding achievement of a Mississauga artist or performer in an artistic discipline that you would specify specifically which one you're applying for, whatever discipline, that is actively working in the arts and culture sector. They demonstrate strong activity with a history of public exhibition, performance, or publication. And this would be shown throughout your nomination materials, such as your CV, resume, letter of recommendation from a nominator, and etc. But I'll get into what's required for the nomination process later. Now, if you have 5 years of less experience in the specific discipline, we encourage you to apply as an emerging artist. So they would receive a certificate of excellence at the award. So we're looking for somebody that would be minimum 18 years of age. That's what we're looking for. Less than 5 years experience. And they produced like a modest independent body of work that shows skill as well as growth in their respective discipline. They've shown activity within the Mississauga arts community. They have a history of public exhibition performance or publication, which is very similar to established here. But they're seen as an emerging artist that is up and coming in their field of work. Okay. So each year we accept nominations for both established and emerging artists for outstanding work in the artistic disciplines that I will mention in a minute. But the body of work that we are specifically looking for is between the last 1 to 2 years. So we're not looking for work that was presented in 2015. We're looking for work that was in the past 2 years that is demonstrative of your work and your skill set. I will say this, categories are always subject to change. Of course, we have some new categories this year based on feedback and of course from last year. And a minimum number of nominations in a category are required. And we have full discretion. If not enough nominations are a category, it can be canceled at any time, but it's sole discretion of MAC. And as well, we reserve the right to select no winners in the category if the jury does not deem the nominees are qualified enough. Okay, so I won't get into every single description here, but this is the full list of disciplines for the Artistic Excellence Award. So we have dance, film/video arts, literary arts, music group, music instrumental, and music solo vocalist. So that would be for emerging or established in each of these specific disciplines. So dance, emerging, dance, established, and then it goes on from there. All of these definitions are in the guidelines as well. Okay, and then there's also theater arts, visual arts, which is a multimedia arts, visual arts, public art, which I'm going to explain that a little bit further because that is a new discipline this year. So what we've introduced is that we are looking for, to preface this would only be for established. So we would be looking for a visual artist that has 5 years or more experience to apply to this category, and they can show their public artworks that they have presented over the past 1 to 2 years, their community involvement, research, and contribution to beautifying the city. So I'm going to explain this a little bit further in the sense that, let's say there's an established artist, visual artist, that wants to apply to a category. They can apply for one category. All nominees can only apply to one category. So if they feel that they would like to present more of their public art pieces and their works, they would apply to only visual arts, public art. Or if they would show their expansive work that includes painting, collage, sculpture, drawing, printmaking, etc., as seen in the description here, they would only apply to traditional forms. So you only get to pick one, and it's best recommended from us is that find what you think works best for you. Find the definition that works and speaks to you as an artist and select that category and use your nomination materials to showcase that category. So if you feel like you're between visual arts, multimedia arts, and also traditional forms, which is seen sometimes quite a bit, choose which one you find that your works will fit best. So that's on that. All right. Okay, so that was a lot of the categories. I do recommend, as I mentioned, do go to the guidelines and read them a little bit more further. We just unfortunately don't have time to go through each exact one. But yeah, so this is more a little bit about the selection process. So all of the artistic discipline awards are, To ensure consistency and fairness, each jury, we have one jury per artistic discipline or practice. They use the same scoring criteria, and then a non-voting member of MAC will audit each jury, which is actually most likely myself. So I would go through in every jury and facilitate that and make sure that everybody has the material. And then submissions are judged specifically on artistic merit, quality of accomplishments, contribution to arts and culture in Mississauga, and quality of application materials. So do keep that all in mind when you're putting your nomination materials together. And then we do like to preface by saying submitting a nomination does not guarantee you will be selected as a finalist. You are submitting a nomination, and then if you are selected as a finalist, then we will then contact you. And then it gets a little bit more into the details about what scoring is like. And then, like I said earlier, you can only be nominated for one artistic category, so please submit only for one category. Okay, so this is the Community Arts Awards. So this is different than the Artistic Excellence Awards. This is really, showcasing like volunteers, patrons, lifetime achievers, community arts groups, collectives, which is the new category. And then occasionally, sometimes jury recommended special recognition awards is sometimes that comes up as well. So these are some of the awards are decided on by the board of directors at Mississauga Arts Council, which includes the Volunteer Year of the Award, Laurie Pallet Patron of the Arts Award, and the Lifetime Achievement Award. I will say new this year that the Laurie Pallet Patron of the Arts Awards will not be accepting nominations from the public, and that will be solely determined by the board of directors. For that category, the Volunteer of the Year Award and Lifetime Achievement, we are still accepting nominations for those categories. And then Festival of the Year is determined by a jury from local Mississauga media representatives, not by the board. Okay, so this is a new category this year. So based on feedback from last year, we decided to go forward and make this new category and see what comes of it. So this award is for community arts group / collective that has made an outstanding impact to the public in the past 2 years that has contributed to shaping the arts and cultural landscape in the city. Ideally, the nomination and submission materials will demonstrate measurable quantitative public impact and outline the group / collective's accessible activities, events, or performances that were available to public in the past 2 years. So any resident can nominate a registered or unregistered community arts group / collective that has made an impact in Mississauga. And the award is based on the community arts group collective's contribution to the city, regardless of whatever type of artistic practice that it demonstrates. So it could be a variety of artistic practices in that group, but that doesn't matter here. Community arts group collective is defined as a registered or unregistered community or cultural group that makes a difference in artists' lives and the public and their respective community. So let's say you have somebody in mind that you would want. So let's say a representative from that community arts group / collective wants to submit that group to this award. They are welcome to do so, but they would need a letter of recommendation, which I will get into. Any type of nomination that's submitted needs a letter of recommendation. So the person from that group is more than welcome to submit a nomination, but they will need a 1-page letter of recommendation from somebody else that can advocate for that said group. And I'll get more into the details of that based on the submission materials that's required for all the nominations. Okay, so Festival of the Year Award. So this is a slight change, not really though, slight change from previous years. So in 2021, this award was pivoted to be a virtual Festival of the Year, and now this has been changed to Festival of the Year Award, which basically the main difference is that people who are looking to submit for the festival for this year, the festival has to take place in person. That's really the only major difference here. Other than the criteria has now changed to the previous version that was 2019. And so a little bit about the awards. So It's for an arts or cultural festival that features Mississauga artists and presents various art forms to a large and diverse audience. And they're presented for the organizing group for the outstanding quality and impact. Note here, the Deserving Festival must have operated for at least 3 years, taking place in Mississauga, and it has to be open to public audiences in some capacity. And here's a little bit more of the details here about the virtual festival and the changeover. But that's really the major difference. It has to take place in person. Yep. So the next one we have here is the Lifetime Achievement Award. So this is for an individual's total body of work and overall career achievement in the art scene in Mississauga. So the deserving nominee, they should have demonstrated, of course, a lifelong demonstrated exceptional creative leadership and be recognized and awarded talent in their artistic practice with a career history of specifically 20 or more years demonstrated. So there's specific evidence of their influence and inspiration for others in their artworks. Any resident that has somebody in mind can submit a letter of recommendation to this person, but we recommend, of course, with all of these, I believe I mentioned it, but the way that the process of submitting works is that you want a nomination submitted for yourself. So you would submit the materials yourself because, of course, you know you best and you have all the materials for you. And then all you need to additionally include in that is the contact information of your nominator with the one-page letter of recommendation. So that's how that process works, but I'll get more into that later. So a little bit more details here, but this award is based on the individual's total contribution and body of work, regardless of artistic practice. It is not dependent on that. It is the achievements that they've made. Okay, so then this is the Hazel McCallion Volunteer of the Year Award, the last community arts award that we're accepting nominations for this year. So this is an award that the person who wins, they've demonstrated exceptional volunteerism to the arts. So they could be an administrator or of a creative event or an arts group, or they just need to show the contribution of time and resources that supported the impactful event, organization, or movement in a way. The reason for this is that they deserve a heartfelt congratulations and recognition for their dedicated services. And that's the reason for this award, of course, right? So its nomination is open to any arts group, organization utilizing volunteers, and nominees should reside in Mississauga or contributed to Mississauga. And notes here about the considerations. Again, we already talked about that earlier. So that's pretty much it about that. Okay, so here now gets into the nomination requirements. So you can only apply to one category each year. So as I mentioned before, previously nominated candidates and finalists are eligible to be re-nominated. However, if you've received any type of award in 2022, 2021, or 2019, you are not eligible. Only nominations submitted through the online form will be accepted. We will not accept anything over email or mail. But if you do require accessibility support, please do contact this email here. It goes to me and I can answer questions about that. And we can set up a time that works for you to help you with accessibility. And then all nominations must include a one-page letter of support from a nominator. A nominator can be any individual. The nominator doesn't have to live in Mississauga. They are anybody that can vouch for you on the expertise, skill set, and accomplishments of you. So do, craft this a little bit carefully, if you have, let's say, a mentor that you've worked with, or, you work with this gallery a lot and you have somebody in mind that would really vouch for you, choose that person. Reach out. It's only one page. It probably won't take much of their time, but it's very valuable to the jury to review that, to vouch for your experiences. Again, it gets into nominees must be residents of the City of Mississauga, have a significant connection to Mississauga, or have made a major contribution to the arts within Mississauga. Posthumous nominations, with the exception of Lifetime Achievement Awards, will not be accepted. So that will be only for Lifetime Achievement. And then late or incomplete nominations will not be accepted or considered. The deadline to apply is Monday, March 13th at 9 a.m. Yeah. Okay. That was a lot of information.
Okay.
So was there any questions?
We actually do have a couple.
Okay.
So there was a question about how we select jurors.
Mm-hmm.
And in the chat, I mentioned, sometimes we go with previous winners, arts leaders who have not nominated anyone in a year. And, we go to various sources of people who will be impartial but also critical with reviewing the award.
Yeah, exactly. So, jurors are facilitated through us. We choose them very carefully and crafted. They can't have submitted a nomination, like you said, for themselves for this year, but they can definitely have one, let's say, maybe it's a winner from last year, being a juror for this year, and they're carefully selected. Yeah.
And another interesting question. So for artistic awards, if the work was developed in Mississauga but then toured abroad, would that be eligible?
Repeat that question again.
So this is like a work was developed, workshopped, happened in Mississauga, but then toured to Ottawa or the US. Or
I think the biggest thing I can say is that we encourage that, of course, like we want their works to be demonstrated outside of Mississauga, but I think it's definitely showing the connection that you have here. So like if you started here and you've done a lot of works here but then you've gone off and demonstrated that work to different areas, that's great. We want to see that, right? But I think you need to show the connection that you've made here to demonstrate and talk more about that.
And why the work had impacted Mississauga.
Exactly. Yeah. Because we want Mississauga artists to go off into the world and do all that. That's wonderful. Yeah.
Excellent. And a couple of questions coming in about nominations.
Yep.
So can you nominate someone else?
So if you're submitting a nomination for yourself, we won't accept nominations. If you're, how may I say this? So if you're submitting a nomination for yourself, that's great, but we won't accept, you can't nominate somebody else as well, right? So you can't nominate another person. If you're putting your hat in the ring, you can't put somebody else's into the ring, if that makes sense, right? Like it only has to be one. So you can either nominate somebody else or you can put in your nomination. Is that clear? Yeah.
Yes.
Yes. Okay.
If you submit your own nomination, you cannot be someone else's nominator.
Yes. Yes.
Okay. And a question here, do we nominate ourselves? And so again, it's you submit your own application, your own submission, but you need a letter of reference from a third party who can vouch for your credentials.
Yes, exactly. So you can't nominate yourself, but you can submit all the material for your nomination, but the contact information of your nominator is separate. It's not yourself. We won't accept nominations that are submitted with the nominator being yourself. That's just not, not appropriate for that. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
That's a lot of language, nominator, but hopefully it starts to make sense.
Hopefully it's clear.
Sorry.
So no one else can, you have to have somebody else nominate you.
Yes, you have to have somebody else nominate you.
Yeah, that's what. Yeah.
You submit your material, someone else nominates you.
Yeah.
Can you repeat that about the exemption for the Lifetime Achievement Award? I think the previous slide.
Mm-hmm.
Only once in their lifetime.
Okay, so individuals may only win this award once during their lifetime. It's based on the individual's total contribution and body of work, regardless of artistic practice. Those are the only, and you must have a career history of 20 or more years to be eligible for this award.
Right.
Yep.
So as a visual artist, every 3 or 4 years, you could technically win the award, but as a lifetime achievement, only once.
Only once in your
Excellent.
lifetime. Yep. Mm-hmm. Yep.
Perfect.
Is that it? Oh,
Artistic Excellence Award category. Yes. So with your application, you will submit it, and there is a whole page. Do you have the form?
I do. So I'm going to get into that in a minute. But to answer your questions, what we mentioned before, you would submit the nomination, and then you would submit a letter of recommendation with the contact information of the nominator. So that wouldn't be yourself, it'd be somebody else to vouch for you. Yeah. Okay. So if you guys have any more questions, please do put in the chat here. We are going to, okay, great. So we're going to get into, let's see. Okay. Now it's the application process. Like, how does that work? What's included? I don't know. So all are located on this link. It's up on our website. And I'm going to talk more a little bit about details of how to prepare for this. So biggest thing and the hot tip I can tell you is once you read the guidelines on, I think it's the last or second last page on her website. Where is it? Okay. So it's on the 10th, 11th, and 12th page on our website, but you'll see it. It's all on there. It's all blurred out, but it's a full list of what is included in the submission process. That basically what you'll do is you'll read through the guidelines, go, okay, I know I need let's use the artistic excellence one as an example. So I need my contact information. I need the contact information for my nominator. So you would ask them for this. What's your email? What's your phone number? 1-page nomination letter, as we've mentioned, you'll need from them. And then each of these, I will say, is different by each different type of award you're applying for. But, some of them are your short artist biography, full artistic biography, a bit longer, artist CV, resume, nominee website, headshot, and then it gets into full list. So once you select which award, when you're reading the guidelines, okay, I'm going to apply for this one. You read through everything you need. You prepare that outside of using the web form. Don't use the web form. We want you, use the web form to submit, but get a Google Doc going or a separate Word doc or wherever on your computer folder and start adding all this information in for the nomination materials to it. Then once you're comfortable with it and ready, that's when you go into the web form and start just copying and pasting your answers into it. And it's just an easier process in general. Especially because before you submit your nomination, you only have one option to review your answers you have an option to review your answers at that point, but you can only submit one, right? So it's making sure that you have everything ready beforehand before you submit. So I think now I'm going to get into let's scroll, come back to that. So let's come to this. So this is a Marty. Let's hope this pulls up. Okay. So, see, that's the thing. I had this open already. And what it's going to do for you is go, it looks like I already got a draft going. Like Jotform's going to tell you, do you want to continue with your draft? Right? It saves everything for you. But in this case, I'm going to discard and start over. So we'll go here. So this is the web form that's specifically for the artistic award nominations. So this would be the emerging or established dance, theater, visual arts, etc. There is different web forms for the community arts awards and festival of the year, and that's all on our website. So as you can see here, a little bit about the awards, guidelines go out here. This is all the award categories and mentions. And then if you're looking for the other web forms, they're all over here. You can only submit to one category, etc. And then deadline. So we go next into it. These are very simpler to fill out. You would just put my name. Let's just see. My name is, or I just go by Sherri. So let's just go by my name again. Let's just use I'm not going to fill everything out, but you get the point, right? So phone number and that's required, right? So you need to make sure it's filled out before you're ready to go, which is exactly why I mentioned use the folder, use a Google Doc going, and that way you're just ready to go, right? Address, let's just fill it out so I know. Let's just use Max one. And then address, we use Max. So filled in already, good to go. This case, I am a MAC member. That's great. I'm going to submit myself to visual arts traditional forms selected. Let's say I'm emerging. Next. There's errors. So let's go back. I'd never filled out my thing. There we go. Now all good, right? So we go next to the next one. Let's say Susan is nominating me. Not certain, Durnin, admin, artscouncil.com. And then get into, we need their phone number for everything, for yours and also the nominators. And then now is when you can put your letter of support. So it's going to pull up all my nice little things. So let's say my guidelines for this case is my support. And that's the 1-page letter of support from the nominator, the person that's endorsing you for this category. We only need 1 page. That's fine. And then this is your short artist biography, which is 50 words. So let's just do this. Hopefully it'll work. It has a cap limit, so we do need 50 words. So that's filled out. And then you would put in your artist biography. You can just attach it again as a PDF or a doc. And that would be your full one. Your resume, boom, done. Artist headshot. Let's use one of Kevy here. Love that. And
So
then
resume can be attached. Just a separate resume can be attachment rather than fill in there the full resume.
So the resume can be sent as an attachment.
Okay.
Yep. So link. I don't think I have a copy right now. Let's just use this. And then you'll see you can put your Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, Spotify, TikTok, anything else.
If you don't have, can you just fill in NA?
Yes, you can just fill in an NA. Work samples. Let's just use these as examples. We only need 3 to 5. In this specific one for the artistic categories, we only need 3 to 5 work samples total. We don't need more than that. If you do have links to the Google Drives or Dropbox or something like that, you can put them in this section here. But just make sure that they're accessible, like we can access them. If they're not accessible, we don't deem them as a work sample, right? So if we can't see them, we can't see them, right? So just make sure you can see them. Passwords.
What happens in the case of a book?
A book.
Yes.
So a book would be, you would attach it as a PDF here, like a PDF.
The whole book? PDF?
Not the whole book. For a book, you would put maybe 2 to 3 pages of examples.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay. And then your artist statement done. And then next. Okay, so now you're done, right? So you have pretty everything in. You can go back here if you would like, or you can save it. This is just making sure I've read it through. I've made sure that I have everything. I certified that this is forms complete, and then boop, submit. Take a minute, done. Thank you. So if you're selected, and then it goes into all that kind of thing. So let's.
Any questions about the web form while she's clicking through?
Yes.
I know there's a question about nominators, nominees.
Okay.
So in the past, as a nominator, you could support multiple artists. Is that still the case?
No, it's nominate one. Yeah.
Okay.
No, it's one, nominate one. This is really just, that the reason for that is sorry, give me 1 second. The reason for that is that we need somebody to vouch for that person. And if you're nominating like 10 people, right, it just doesn't, yeah. It doesn't have the same impact, right? Yeah. So, and if you have somebody else in mind that you think should submit a nomination, please do recommend them to somebody that can be their nominator, right? We have a really good group of artists in this community. I'm sure there's somebody that can nominate them. Yeah,
absolutely.
Makes sense. Otherwise, you'll be bombarded.
Help facilitate some of that as well.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So let's go back and to actually my frequently asked questions. Is there any other questions?
No, but feel free to type questions. We'll keep them coming.
Okay. So what I'm going to do here is, so we get this question a lot, and these are all on our website too, of our frequently asked questions, which we constantly update this if things come through. The biggest thing I can say is that we're very, what's the word? Like we take feedback really well, and there's always ways to improve, right? So we get these questions quite a bit. So, what is a professional artist? So we take the definition of Canada Council for the Arts, which is a professional artist and is an artist who has specialized training in their artistic field, not necessarily in an academic institution, is recognized as professional by his or her peers. So it'd be artists working in the same tradition as them and committed to devoting time or artistic activity, if possibly financially, and has a history of public presentation or publication. So that would be shown throughout the work that you would submit. And then the next question would be, what if my artistic work falls into multiple categories? So we talked about this earlier. So use which one fits you best. So if you have all your works really showcased into theater arts, say like you are a theater person, but you also maybe do literary on the side, take a look at your body of work from kind of step back a minute, really look at it and go, no, I think I have a better shot. And I think this better represents me as an artist into the theater arts category, and then only apply to that one category. And if you're still unsure after going through the guidelines and everything else, you can reach out via that email there. And then we can maybe fit you into the category that works best, maybe based on your resume or something like that. Yeah.
Good question. Are there any awards that are only open to professional artists, or vice versa, only open to community artists?
So they're only open, all of these awards, so excluding the community arts awards, because that's different, because we have like volunteer of the year and lifetime achievement, and that's different. But for artistic excellence awards, we are looking for professional artists. So even if they were an emerging artist, so that's 5 years or less, they still do need to be a professional artist. But for example, if it's an emerging artist, we recognize that this is a person just getting into their works, right? But they have to show demonstrated professionalism in their field of practice. Yeah. Mm-hmm. That answers it. Yes. No. Okay. So will MAC review my nomination materials and give me feedback? No. So we're not going to give you constructive feedback on the quality of your nomination materials, because we are an unbiased, non-voting person here. But we can provide you information, as I just talked about. It's like how to complete your nomination form and what works best. So like putting your best foot forward, what kind of materials you need, like that's the kind of feedback we can give, which is essentially this webinar. And will I receive feedback from the jury? No, the jury decisions are confidential and final. No feedback from jury members will be given to the nominees. We can give feedback on the quality or the scope of the application materials, kind of similar to what I just said, where it's like feedback on the quality of scope. But the jury decisions are final. And that's just how the process works. How long should my letter of recommendation from the nominator be? No longer than a page, or maximum 450 words. We're not looking for 10 pages here, just condense it, put your best stuff in, and tell your nominator that. What should my letter of recommendation from my nominator include? So this includes the details of the achievements So a good example of a nomination is a letter of recommendation that talks about the things that you're submitting. So if you have, I'm going to talk about said gallery exhibition, maybe it's a nice idea to include in the letter of recommendation them talking about that gallery, because the jurors find that there's a good connection between it and they've learned quite a bit. And also why the nominator has chosen you. Have the nominator talk about the relationship to you, and give us more information and details for that. Who can be my nominator? Again, it's any individual who can vouch for the expertise and skill set of the nominee. They can be from anywhere. They don't have to be from Mississauga. We are fine with doing family or friends, but they need to be able to vouch for the nominee and speak through their accomplishments in an efficient way. And that is allowed. Who should I contact regarding questions, inquiries? So after you've read through everything, you can contact us at martyawards@macarts.ca, and we can answer any questions. As mentioned before, we cannot give you feedback on the quality of your nomination materials, but we can give you help with any questions that you have about the nomination form or components needed to be submitted. Will I be contacted if I'm selected as a finalist? Yes, of course. You'll be contacted in April of 2023. And Yeah. What happens if I'm selected? I think we mentioned this before. So you will need to become a member of MAC if you're selected as a finalist. And then if you have any questions about membership, you can contact Susan, and it's also available on our website. And then all finalists are required to attend the MARTY Award ceremony. But as mentioned before, if you are not able to attend, we've had people traveling outside of the country. Somebody else needs to be there to, potentially accept an award on your behalf, if that were the case. Or, we need to have a representative from you or something figured out. Yeah. That's been reviewed. So next steps are reviewed after you go through the guidelines there. All the submission forms are all located on the same page as the guidelines and criteria. You would get all your materials ready. Then you would go, okay, I'm going to apply to dance established. You click on this form, or nope, I want to apply for arts group collective. Apply that one, or festival of the year, that one. And then community arts is the third one. So deadline for all nominations. So start thinking about this now. It sounds long way away, but we're already February 1st here, right? So Monday, March 13th, 2023 at 9 a.m. No late submissions will be accepted. And we encourage you really to start getting materials ready early. If you don't have everything yet, just start thinking about it, go through the guidelines, print it out, highlight what you need, and start actively thinking about it. Especially because, we work weekends, we don't work weekends. So we can't answer questions on like the weekend before the deadline, right? So if you have questions, start thinking about it now. So that way we can get back to you and help facilitate and get your nomination in. And
So if you do need accessibility support or have questions about the web form, Sherri mentioned you can email martyawards@macarts.ca, and within a couple of business days, we'll get back to you and assist. The slideshow and recording of this session. So we are recording this session, and we'll get it up on YouTube shortly. And for anyone who registered for the meeting, we have your emails, and we can get you the presentation, and we can also get it up on our website as well. Again, at the MARTY nominations website that's on the screen right now.
Yeah, exactly. So deadlines here again, as we already mentioned. So I think part of that really quickly. So I think I do want to say is that I don't want people to feel like overwhelmed in any sense in this case, right? We've tried to make this process fairly clear as much as we can. We know there's a lot of awards, and there's of course, we have to do a process in place. But the biggest thing I think is just like really reading through it. And, if you're hesitant to submit a nomination, please don't be. Please don't be. There's been a lot of people that have reached out to me in the past over the years that I've worked here since January of 2020 that are very hesitant to submit a nominations based on their materials. But those same people have gone off to be a finalist. So I think it's just really putting your stuff forward, because if you can't, then nobody can see your work, right? And I've seen people do that and they've been a finalist. So I think it's just put your stuff best forward. We're here for you. We hope that this information has been helpful. And I'm very looking forward to seeing all of the lovely nominations and all of the amazing works that you guys have done over the past 2 years. And we're looking forward to recognizing them and being back at the MARTY Awards this year. So please let us know. We'll be around probably for another, I'd say like 10, 15 minutes, like ish, we'll be around. So you guys are more than welcome to stick around, ask any questions. And if not, we'll send you all the presentation materials, and have a wonderful day and stay warm because it's very cold outside.